So from the time we were born, well, not the time we were born, from the time we were kids.
Okay.
From the time we were kids.
Okay.
We've pretty much been told either directly or just by watching how the world works that money is the driving force to everything.
Money, money, money.
Right.
That's the OJ's version.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and we've kind of lived our lives to that point.
Yeah.
Going to college, why? Because we want to make more money.
Absolutely.
Looking at the certain jobs that we're trying to get and getting into the career fields and paths that we get. Why? Because we want to make more money. Right? And it's really, it's a little bit wrong with that. It's not a lot. I understand it. But the older that I've gotten, and I keep hearing this repeatedly now for sure, and I'll be 39 in like 3 weeks.
Dude. I was 39 years
39 years ago. But maybe we shouldn't focus so much on that because that's not going to sustain our drive and motivation to keep going every day.
And once you get enough of it to get the basic creature comforts handled,
right,
it's less of a motivator psychologically.
Right. So that's what we want to talk about today.
Money.
Yeah, don't chase the money.
Don't chase the money.
And we have 3 things that you should be chasing instead. Plus, later on, we're going to tackle some common workplace myths that we've all heard and probably been taught at some point during our lives. Yeah, we're going to debunk them. This is episode 58 of the Beyond The Cubicle podcast.
Money.
Coming at you after the intro. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at This Is BTC. Email, hit us up at the email, podbtc@gmail.com.
And we got we have a website up running.
That's it. Website is up.
Love it.
This is BCT. I keep getting that wrong. Let's be doing blah. This is btcpod.com.
.com.
I think I'm going to end up changing that address. Yeah. So today's topic, we got 2 topics. So we're going to talk about workplace myths later. There are about 8 workplace myths that we've all heard or were taught and probably believed that we're going to debunk. But first, we're going to talk about 3 things that you should be chasing in your career instead of money. A little bit of setup. I remember when I first got to Houston, I believe. This was so I work in the energy industry. When I was living in Atlanta, right, we were the only energy company headquartered in Atlanta, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So coming here, there's one on every other corner.
and big.
And big, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember peers and coworkers of mine having the mentality, hey, I'm going to do 2 years here. I'm going to go to the next spot. I'm going to get that 10K bump in this salary. I'm going to do 2 years there, go to the next spot. I'm going to get this 10 to 15K bump in the salary,
Oh, absolutely.
And I remember thinking like, man, maybe I need to do that. And then quickly I started to realize like, wait, but if you do that, don't you tap out don't you tap the well kind of quick?
Yeah.
Because then the next move is now you have to level up, but have you gotten the skills and experience that you need to level up?
To get where you think you want to go.
Right.
No,
and the relationships.
It's time.
Right. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today is here are 3 things that you should be chasing instead of the salary. And that's not to say that the salary is not important, right?
But if it's the number one driver, I think I shared this in a couple of other episodes where the kids were going in school, and as they went in, they're searching salary.com, who's the highest paid. Then when they came out in 4 or 5 years, it had changed. The market is too dynamic to totally focus on money because some stuff is valued and other things are not valued as much. But your personal, I'm tipping ahead to one of the topics.
Go ahead.
Your personal growth strategy is way more important.
I love the way you put that. Our personal growth strategy.
Way more important.
And that's something that we probably need to break down too as we go forward. I'll make a note of that. Yeah. So thing number one that we should be chasing instead of money, chase good management. Chase good management. Now, the trick to that is if you're already in a position, it's easier for you to understand the dynamics of management there versus another company that you could be interviewing for.
Yeah.
So as somebody who's seen just the ups and downs and just you've hired people, you fired people, you've worked for managers, you currently have clients and things like that. Do you have any way that anybody that's going to an interview situation, for example, could kind of get a glimpse of what management may or may not be like?
Well, as we build, and we're building some online courses that do some of the things that we talk about here, I say do your homework. You can go look at a company's 10K, you can go to their website and look at news and whatever. I actually found out that most major companies have an employee chat room.
Really? And somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can put in name of your company. You've got one. There's got to be an employee chat room.
I need to go find it.
And if you can find the employee chat rooms and listen to the chatter. Now, the people that post that post the most are people that are dissatisfied. God bless them. And there's a million dissatisfied people. But look for a thread. And if the thread is just they're working me too hard, somebody stupid is making these decisions, that's okay. If you start to hear a lot about dishonesty, you start to hear a lot about things that don't necessarily, then just look at it. It doesn't mean it's for sure a systemic issue in that organization, but it might make you think a little bit. But if you go to some places that, you go in the chat room, they're talking about we're doing this over here, we're doing that over there, things are kind of cool. Those kinds of things, you can find out some real good information on companies. Yeah,
and another thing I'll add is, especially if you work in a place where, people know people who know people, right?
That's everywhere.
Yeah, look, I think the 6 degrees of separation thing is real.
Yeah.
But ask around. Yeah. See if you can find somebody who you know directly, find somebody who knows somebody that works in the place, and try to get an honest perception of what the management culture is like in that place. All right. The next thing that you should be chasing kind of piggybacks right off of that.
Similar.
Company culture.
And you can hear that.
Yeah.
We're in Houston, so I won't name the company, but a lot of prominent people have come out of this company. And I had an ex-CEO that used to be really high up in that organization, very, very high. He left. He said the culture was dog eat dog, stab people in the back, he said, and I won't work that way. And he was a very principled Christian guy, one of the best, people I've met at that level. Right. And by the way, people always put down CEOs and company leaders, they're just... Look, I've met some of the most principled, decent humans who understand the responsibility of leadership that are really trying to do their 100% best to make sure they're making all the sound decisions. So I'm not in that group that says something is wrong with him. This guy was off the chain. But he left a company that he worked at. He said, because that dog eat dog, stab you in the back, take everybody out, while some people here think that's good, that goes against my personal belief systems.
That's it.
And so when you said chase a sound company culture, don't go someplace for money that they're killing each other and there's blood in the streets. Yeah, don't go.
Because you won't last.
You'll be one of the dead ones.
Yeah, you won't last.
Not good.
I think, check around for, again, public information on the particular company. Ask around what the culture is.
Yeah.
And no culture is going to be perfect.
Oh, no.
But what you're looking for is just generally how they treat people on many levels, whether it be how they treat ladies in the workplace, how they treat promotional opportunities in the workplace, how they treat minorities and things like that. Figure out all that stuff, because if it applies to you, it's very important that you try to find as much information about that as possible.
Absolutely.
But you want to have a good sound structure in place. There was a place a few years ago that I had some of my good friends here that we all moved from Atlanta, and they were working at this company, which was a few blocks down from us, and they had been trying to get me over there for 6 months.
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll go. I'll take an interview. I went over there interviewing with my two friends because they were in management.
Right.
And then I interviewed with their managers, and the interviews were good. And then literally, when I say literally 2 weeks later, one of them had left. My friends. One of them had left, went to another company. The other was searching for something, and they called me back and said, hey, they're going to call you back for a second interview. Don't take it. I was like, well, what happened? They had only been there for about 5 months. And so so they were thinking, hey, the culture is what it is, but maybe it's turning around.
Yeah. Then
some other moves happened. It was like, no, this is not turning around. And so they called me back. It's like, the culture is not great over here. They don't have any structure. Don't come. Okay. And I didn't go.
Yeah.
So trying to find your way in, whether it's public information, or people that you know that know somebody.
Right.
Last thing, chase skill and knowledge.
Yeah.
Growth opportunities.
Yeah.
So that speaks to what you were saying earlier about the personal growth strategy.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Correct.
You're going to leave eventually one day.
Mm-hmm.
You need to leave there better than what you were when you got there.
Mm-hmm.
In order to do that, we definitely need to have some learnings. And I'm actually finding out, I was been doing some work in the generations at work and yada, yada. And the millennials are the most maligned generation ever in the history of studies. In fact, I heard one person say, here's what a generation is simply a group of people that have shared values based on shared experiences.
Right.
So
and you can almost delineate those by the years because society changes.
You can make that any year you want.
Right.
So when they started doing the studies, they talked about the millennials and was, they're terrible. And that's because a bunch of old farts like me were pretty pissed off about whatever. But here's the thing that happened. The younger ones are walking into companies and they're not saying pay me the most money.
Right.
They're saying make me better. What are your training opportunities?
Yep.
What are your developmental opportunities?
Yep.
Because I realize you're going to screw over me like you did my parents.
Boom.
And you don't have any pensions anymore. That's why they stayed with you. They hated you, but they stayed with you because they had pensions. And once they retired, they could eat.
Yeah.
But you're telling me you don't get that. So forget being loyal. That's stupid.
Yeah.
How can you make me better? And we're retaining them when we can make them better. That's one of their value systems. So if you're looking for knowledge and growth, that means you are better when you leave than when you walked in. That's to your advantage.
So here's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
So based on what the widely accepted date range is for millennials, I'm one of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whatever. And you an old dude in millennial body, bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to be straight with you.
So here's the funny thing, right? When it comes to the millennials, because I was looking this up like a few months ago. I'm not quite Gen X. I was born in 1980. I'm not quite Gen X.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite what people think of when they think of millennial either.
No.
But I do have traits of both.
Yeah.
So here's kind of how and the smartest one I saw made the most sense was, well, any generation is about 14 years. That's about what they give it when they're doing these sociological studies, right?
Yeah.
It's about 14 years. And what they do is, if you look at a 14-year gap, think about whoever's 14 years younger than you. You're wildly different.
Because of the experiences in society.
And where you are in life.
Yeah.
And so what they're saying is, from 1980 to about 1993, 94, those are the millennials, right?
Right.
And so what you have is there's a split in the millennial generation because some of us are in different points of our life. So somebody who's 14 years younger than me, that puts them at around 25, 26, they're just getting out of college. They don't have kids. They're not married. They're not established in their careers, just getting started.
Yeah. They're just a skosh above the Gen Zs.
Correct.
And you're like, seriously?
Correct. Versus myself, who I've been in my career for almost 14 years.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids, been married for almost 14 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like we're in 2 totally different places.
Yeah, it's
but we have some shared values.
Yeah.
So I'm just like they were saying, you know, I'm more for knowledge and growth than I am about chasing the dollar. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I like to know that things are happening for a cause and, you know, that type of thing, right?
Bigger, I think they call the next generation totally, they're globalist. Their view of the world is so much better because of the internet and technology and whatever. I got access to all this right here. In fact, I'm on my phone looking at all kind of crazy stuff now. And it's a different world.
And we all know I'm a techie. So
I would have been if I was born earlier.
Exactly.
Like, by the way, too, even some of the other generations that they say are ironclad share some of those same values. I just thought I'd throw that out.
They do.
Because we're all human.
All right, let's get into our next topic.
Okay, next one is
common workplace myths.
Lies they've been telling you since you got hired.
Yeah. You know, now what I haven't done yet, and I may do this in a future episode, just come back and update us. But I'm not even quite sure how these myths even came about.
Somebody wanted you to do what they wanted you to do.
That's probably it.
Some manipulation.
That's probably it. All right, so we have about 7 or 8 workplace myths that I found. I kind of chuckled when I saw some of them because I'm like, damn, people really still believe this?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to go through them briefly, give our thoughts on them and some of our experiences too. So,
done.
All right, myth number 1.
8-hour workdays lead to the most productivity.
I would argue that it's actually less.
Well, if you actually look at when we're the most productive, and they've done so many studies on it, the time of day, the duration, the 8-hour day, it allows companies to feel like we're getting that out of you, but we're not. Nobody is optimally functioning 8 hours. I'm not saying they're not working, but they're not optimally functioning at a peak level for 8 hours.
Technically.
Yeah.
Technically.
But I'm at work.
Technically, and I hope anybody from my company listens to this. Technically, you pay me for about 4.5 hours of work a day.
Oh yeah.
And that's on a good day. On a slow day, you pay me for about 1.5 hours to 2.
Oh, and we could be working on something. I mean, like, I remember a couple of days, you know, just writing, just assessing. Oh, stop, take a break. Eat something, writing. And there are spurts where that happens, but the body needs a break. That's why they give you breaks in the afternoon and morning, and some companies says, we don't even have to do that. And per some labor laws, depending on what your position is, they don't. The issue is the humans, we were only engineered for peak output within a certain time.
And I would also argue too, maybe some of this stuff is still sticking around from the advent of the industrial age.
Oh yeah,
when physical labor
was the thing. Yeah, but mentally,
mental labor you can't. Like, the mind is not structured to just be on the super high productivity. Anybody who tells you that, it's like they're fooling themselves too, because we take so many breaks in a day to just go search the internet for 30 minutes. Like, come on. Like, nobody's working 8 hours straight.
Okay.
I would tell anybody, if you really wanted to get the most productivity out of a staff or anything, bump your work hours to between 5 and 6 hours a day. Give them the incentive when they finish, they go home. Guarantee you they'll get more done.
I worked in the south of France, and I will tell you, I'm pretty sure, somebody listening, they'll correct me, that a work week was about 37 and a half hours.
That's Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they get 6 weeks of vacation.
And 6 weeks of vacation. And I'll tell you, they got stuff done. You know, we kind of sit over here. I hear some Americans say, well, you know, we're you're idiots, because I'll tell you, they have breaks, they have longer vacations.
Yeah,
and they get work done.
And they seem a little bit happy.
Anyway, don't move all the way over there, though, because I told you that.
All right. So. Money is the best motivator.
Not even.
We just finished talking about that earlier in this episode.
Not even. Money's not the best motivator. Even when they do surveys at these companies,
right,
money doesn't come out number one. It's about 5 or 6,
right,
4 or 5, but it's not number one.
What would we say? I'd say some semblance of work-life balance.
Balance, but the number one thing people want from a company is, I want you to value me. I want to feel valued in my position. Personal value. Otherwise, why am I here?
Right.
I don't want to be a widget.
Right.
So I want to feel valued, and that comes out consistently as number one.
And it has to be untrue, because people have left higher paying jobs.
Oh man, absolutely.
Because they weren't valued, or just the environment was not there.
Absolutely.
Not right.
Unless you're lazy, and we know nobody listening to this is lazy. Unless you're lazy, you want to grow and get better, and you want to bring it better than you did yesterday. So the folks that are sitting there, money is not the issue. I need enough to take care of my responsibilities. All right, now that I've got enough, let's get some value.
Right. Next one. High achievers make great managers.
Some do. Some leave dead bodies.
I'm still kind of torn on that one, because that one kind of speaks to our last episode about generalists and specialists and the jack of all trades, master of none, things like that. In a way, it does.
Yeah. Let's put it like this: the way that you get your boss's attention is by being very good at what you do.
Correct.
So that's the number one. So if you're going to be a manager, the only way to get there, your boss has to like you and think that you turn in the kind of work that they appreciate. Okay, so if in that respect, yes, it's connected. But once you move from an individual contributor to a manager role, your job is now to get people to do what you could do probably very good. And some of them will be good, some of them will not be good, and your job changes from a doer to a coacher and leader and encourager of doers.
And I think that's where the myth title gets put on that, right? Because generally, and this is not every case, but generally, a type A person who has been focused on achieve,
right,
and they're task-oriented, completion-oriented,
right,
and that type of thing, right? The relational parts don't always, the relational skills, rather, don't always get developed in that process, right? So I think that's where that myth title comes in on that concept.
Now you can get there. Please work for a company that values training, manager training, but yeah, you can get there.
Right. Let's see. Multitaskers are the best workers.
Okay, that's mine. First of all, it's impossible.
It
is no such thing as multitaskers. There are people that jump from tasks very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But you're diffusing your efforts. We're only created to have one thought at a time.
Right.
You cannot have multiple thoughts.
Right. I think some years ago, me and my wife had read a bunch of different things on that. Like, the brain itself does not juggle two thoughts simultaneously. No. It's switching. And so multitasking in itself is a misnomer.
Yeah.
Right? Because even on your phone, right? Take, for example, like they have the new multitasking mode where you can put screen on top of screen. You're still only doing one thing at a time.
You can only do one thing at a time. And I think, we're all getting ADD.
Yeah, man.
Nobody wants to even deal with that fact. Information is coming at us so fast.
Yeah.
But you can only still do one thing at a time. So no.
All right.
No true multitasking.
Next one. Having fun can hurt your performance or your standing at work.
The opposite of that is true.
Absolutely.
If you can enjoy your work and people can see, it's actually contagious.
Yeah, man.
If you can enjoy your work and you can get other people to enjoy theirs and you can laugh and encourage and whatever, man, the morale in the workplace goes up.
Mm-hmm. Last one. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking up will only hurt you. In movies.
Speaking up will only hurt you. That is such a myth. However, speaking up poorly speaking up with, we were talking about ego the last episode.
Yeah.
With ego and attitude, yes,
what's the intent of you speaking
What's the intent of you speak? If you speak up to make the organization better,
right.
And they understand that you're serious about that, and that's a legit, you're good.
Right.
That'll help you.
So I'm gonna go from the basis of your intent is good, and so depending on how you look at it, speaking up can hurt you in that organization, but it could be the best for your career.
Well, let me throw this in there. If it's speaking up about an organizational issue and you're trying to make it better, that is so blatantly a help to the organization and to you.
Correct.
In other words, you say, hey, Brian, I got to tell you this, man. I can't let this go on. If we continue to do this, this, and this, over here, we're going to pay for it here. You appreciate that from me.
Yeah.
Because I'm showing you where there's some holes in the game or whatever. Now, if it's personal, Brian, I just got to speak up because I'm not being treated well and blah, 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 hates me and this sucks. At that point, it's kind of a downer. It's kind of a drag. So it kind of depends on what the topic is. Yep. If it's about the organization, I can feel pretty free to go with that. If it's personal, I might need to do a little background work so that I can approach you and give you the story without sounding like I'm whining or... And it still all may be true.
Right. All right, man. Final thoughts before we get out of here.
This was not chasing money and workplace myths. So I'll start with not chasing money. That is a very shallow thing. Now, if you're out there listening to this and you're struggling to make more money because your needs are there, you got to get money. We're not saying don't chase money. You got to get adequate money. Look at a couple things though. Look at, are you making enough to live a good lifestyle, and are you overspending, and what are your money management habits? And I know that's your world that you live on finance.
Right.
But if it's, I need enough to make it so that I can sustain myself, by all means, make sure that you're getting good job satisfaction, but also make sure that you are asking or getting what you believe you're worth, and get some help with that from a mentor. Workplace myths, people talk a lot of garbage. Get a mentor or an advisor or somebody that's been over the road, and they can help you debunk a whole lot of these things because they've seen it and they've dealt with it in their own world.
Gotcha. Final thought from me, especially when it comes to the what are we chasing. Like I said at the beginning, man, I fully understand the motivations for pursuing things because of the potential dollars attached to them. And it's only as I've grown that my perspective of maybe I need to be focused on chasing these other things versus money first has manifested. My 20s, it just wasn't it. I was looking for the dollar. That's just being transparent, right? But I'll say, man, like just in anything, when you take the focus off of the thing, right, and you begin to develop other areas around the thing, typically the thing manifests. You know what I mean? And my particular career path is different from Eric's, and Eric's is different from mine, and both of ours are different from everybody else that's out there. But what my career has taught me is that having that patience to focus on building the value in my mental state, my skill set, and my knowledge has allowed me to see that when I do decide to do something bigger, when I do decide to do something else, when I do decide to leave the organization, these things all together have created a different, a more valuable package to offer.
Absolutely.
And so the money will come.
If you're good at what you do, the money will follow.
Money will follow.
Money, money, money.
All right, that's episode 58 of the Beyond The Cubicle podcast. Hey. Again, man, we really appreciate you guys sticking with us for this year, first year of our existence.
Absolutely.
We've been growing, and we hope you've been growing. And I've been growing just by sharing our experiences and researching these topics and coming up with stuff to talk to you guys about.
And we love getting your emails because you guys will send us emails. We get a chance to talk and chat and maybe even help out a little bit. And if we don't know it, we'll research it.
That's it. All right, so stay tuned for more, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Have a good one.